Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This year, we've been talking about the attacks on the family unit. There is a lot to cover and very little time. So please, can I have everyone's attention and a loud salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajjal farajum wa adaj. Today, we are living in a time where marriage is under a silent but deadly attack. It's not being bombed and it hasn't been banned, but it's being drained of its strength, mocked in the media, and stripped of its meaning. And sadly, many people don't even realize that this is happening. Every year, more and more couples feel less satisfied, less connected, and less sure of their roles in marriage. Why? Because the world around us has slowly taught us to focus on the wrong things. And this is the topic of our discussion today. Let me start with a question. When did marriage become a fashion show or a marketing campaign where couples care more about impressing others than actually being close to each other? Society has taught couples that love must be glamorous, that if it doesn't look edited, photoshopped, polished, and perfect, like something from a magazine, then it must be a failure. In fact, over half of young adults say that they feel under pressure to spend more on their partners. Okay, well that doesn't sound like a bad thing. After all, who wouldn't want to treat their partner or their spouse to make them feel more special? But has anyone stopped to ask why they feel this way? The answer is alarming. They said they wanted to match what they had seen other couples doing online. Salawat bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. This turns love into a show. Giving flowers used to be about expressing love, but now for many, it's just a way to get a nice photo. Gifts aren't given from the heart. They're chosen for how they'll look to others. And people care more about appearing happy in front of others than actually being happy with each other. Let's be honest. Does booking a 5-star holiday prove that you are close? Or does it just prove that you had money to spend? Or, God forbid, access to a credit card or a loan? Does buying a diamond necklace mean you're deeply in love? Or just that somebody paid a bill? The problem is not money. The problem is thinking that money is the measure of love. That if your life doesn't look like a Netflix series, then your marriage must be boring. And this is exactly what people don't talk about. Couples go into debt trying to impress the world. They argue over spending. They resent each other for expectations. And deep down, they start feeling empty. Because they've spent all their energy making things look good on the outside, while the inside fell apart. So let me ask, when did we decide that it's better to look wealthy than to actually feel happy at home? The truth is, marriage isn't something to put on display like a trophy. It's a private space, a safe, peaceful place. And what matters most is not how it looks to others, but how it feels to the two people living in it. If we don't show off, if our holidays are simple, if our clothes are ordinary, but our hearts are close, then our marriage is in a good place, even if no one else sees it. But let's go deeper into this. Because money isn't even the most valuable thing we have. It can be replaced. We can earn more money. We can even borrow money. But how about our time? As Hajraya Amini said, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. Once time is gone, it's gone. We will never get it back. So here's the real question. How much of our time are we giving to our marriage? And more importantly, what kind of time is this? Are we really present? Are we connected? Because think about it. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, they've got billions in the bank. But their time, even they only have 24 hours in a day. If they had to choose between losing a few hours or losing £1 million, they'd give the money. So if time is that valuable, why are we giving it to everyone and everything except the one person that we chose to build and share our life and our future with? Now let's talk about something even more dangerous. The attack on the roles of husbands and wives. In the past, these roles were clear. And because of this, there was less conflict, more understanding, and more peace in the home. The man would go out, work hard, and provide. The lady would manage the home with dignity, intelligence, and care. And both of them would support each other. Not compete, not clash, and not step on each other's toes. But today, these roles are mocked. If a lady stays at home, she's called lazy. If a man leads or protects, he's called controlling. And if anyone dares to say that a lady should not have to provide, or that a man should not expect her to, they're labeled backwards. TV adverts are banned just for showing women in homemaker roles. Let that sink in for a moment. Who has the power to ban something across an entire country? That's not the people. That's the government. That's policy. That's law. And it's done by force. It's not just that housewives are mocked. It's the government itself stepping in to erase it. What kind of things usually get banned in TV adverts? Things like gambling, smoking, unsafe driving, even promoting junk food to children. In other words, things that are considered harmful to society. And now, a lady staying home to look after her family is being treated the same way. That's how far things have gone. something as pure and honorable as a lady looking after her home is being put in the same category as habits and behaviors that are dangerous. If that doesn't make us stop and think, then maybe we've become too used to the abnormal. If caring for a home is treated like a public threat, then surely that tells us something is deeply wrong. How much louder do the signs need to be before we realize what's happening? How many more explosions do we need to hear before we realize that we are under attack? So what happens when our roles aren't clear? Let's face it, in relationships where women work, men rarely step in to do their share of the housework. Instead, women end up doing both, a job outside the home and the job inside it. And slowly, they burn out. The home loses its structure. The rhythm is gone. The peace disappears. And marriage becomes something heavy, something stressful, something that no one has the energy for anymore. Some of you might be thinking, if these separate roles are so important, then why didn't they work for our parents? Why were so many of them unhappy? Because maybe the problem wasn't the roles. Maybe it was that the roles were never done properly. Maybe our father or grandfather did provide, but without presence or compassion. Maybe our mother or grandmother stayed at home, but she was unsupported, unappreciated, or emotionally neglected. That's not a failure of the roles. That's a failure in how they were performed. When someone crashes a car because they don't know how to drive properly, you don't blame the car. You learn to drive better. So what should the roles look like today? We don't have time to paint a full picture of the roles, but we should at least get some basics right. The man must be a man. He must work and he must provide. He must carry the financial responsibility of the family and do it with pride and love, not with pressure, and certainly not with a sense of minnat, as if he's doing the family a favor and they owe him for it. And the lady must be a lady. She must be the heart of the home, the one who manages the space, the rhythm of life, and the nourishment of her family. Not just meals, but nutrition. Because in today's world, providing proper nutrition is harder than ever. It takes thought, planning, and love. A lady must be a lady, not because she's incapable of earning money, but because, as Arabs compassionately say, she is Rabbat al-Manzil, the queen and manager of her household. She brings order, care, and warmth to every corner of family life. That is not weakness. That is strength. That is not outdated. That is timeless. It deserves honor, not shame. Yes, husband and wife should support each other. A husband shouldn't leave his socks everywhere, and a wife shouldn't starve her husband. But support is not the same as swapping roles. When husband and wife do what they were made to do, without shame and without guilt, marriage becomes easy. You're not clashing, you're complementing each other. هن لباس لكم وأنتم لباس لهن. Now let's talk about another attack, a quieter one. It's the attack that has caused us to stop trying for each other. Society is gently but constantly teaching us to look our best for the outside world. We dress up for social events, take extra care for weddings, and put effort into how we appear at work. Salawat bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
We put effort into how we appear at work and even online. But nobody's reminding us to look good at home. Films and media focus on making the chase, the date, the wedding look amazing. But they rarely show a husband and wife years into marriage still making an effort for each other. Slowly, without even realizing it, we absorb the message. Your looks are for others, not for the one that matters most. Let's be honest. Do we dress better for strangers than we do for our husband or wife? Do we make ourselves presentable when going to a party, but wear stained clothes or old pajamas at home? How often do we put in all the effort, dressing up, doing our hair, taking care of our hygiene, removing body hair, brushing our teeth properly, keeping ourselves well groomed, just to be seen well by who? By friends, co-workers, guests. But when it comes to our husband or wife, we let ourselves go. We stop caring about how we look, how we smell, or even what physical shape we're in. If we wouldn't wear that outfit or show up looking that way to a social event, then why are we comfortable presenting ourselves that way in the most important relationship in our lives? This is not about looks. This is about respect. When we stop looking after ourselves, we're saying to our husband or wife, you don't matter enough. But they do matter. So we need to clean up, dress up, and smell good. Look in the mirror and ask, if my husband or wife were walking in through that door right now, would they feel respected and valued by what they see in me? We schedule everything in life. Dentist appointments, school runs, driving lessons. But we leave the most important thing, our marriage, to chance. We say, we'll spend time together whenever we can. And guess what? That time never comes. So we live in the same house, but we don't live together. Intimacy becomes rare. Conversation becomes dry. And we start feeling more like flatmates than husband and wife. And here's the real attack. We're trained to schedule what we value, whether that's our work, our health, or even our entertainment. but we're not scheduling the one relationship that our family's success depends upon. And when a couple tries to plan time together, the world says, that's not romantic. For those who tell us intimacy should be spontaneous, let me ask, since when did grown adults with work, family, stress and schedules live in a fantasy world where intimacy just happens randomly in the most inappropriate locations, like how we are shown in Hollywood movie scenes? Don't we intentionally make time for everything we care about? No one calls their gym routine fake because it's planned. Nobody calls dinner robotic because we make it every night. But somehow, if a couple plans a time to be close, it's called unromantic. Allow me to be very direct here. If we don't plan things, they will disappear. If we don't make time to talk, laugh, eat, rest, and be intimate, then we should not expect our marriage to last. Our marriage won't collapse overnight, and it may not end in a divorce even, but it will fade away. We don't need to visit fancy places, but we do need to see each other emotionally, physically, and with intention. As it was mentioned on Thursday, marriage needs maintenance. But let's be honest, we shouldn't be stopping at maintenance. If we really care, we should be building something stronger, deeper, and more beautiful over time. And that kind of growth can only happen with consistent effort. So let's make that effort part of our routine. Choose one night a week to talk, one night for intimacy, one day to go out, 1 hour to plan our meals, our home, and our goals. See what works for you. And if this sounds too structured or boring, let me ask, don't we plan ahead for everything that matters? Work meetings, school runs, travel plans? We structure our whole lives, so why not our marriage? Why does our marriage deserve any less? So marriage is not dying because of explosions. It's dying because of erosion. Bit by bit, idea by idea, habit by habit, society has convinced us to care about the wrong things and to forget the right ones. But we can change that. We can reject the idea that money measures love. We can reject the idea that roles are optional. And we can reject the idea that love doesn't need work. Instead, we can build marriages that are beautiful on the inside. So I end with one question. What kind of marriage do you want your children to see? Because whatever they see, they will copy. Make sure it's something worth copying. On the day of Ashura, Imam Hussein lay silently on the battlefield. His body had been wounded more than any soul could endure. anyone who didn't know him would have been sure that he was dead. But the enemies weren't sure. After all, this was the son of Ali. So, do you know what they did to find out? They didn't call for a doctor. They didn't check his pulse. They gave the order to attack the tents. And in that moment, when his own body couldn't rise, Imam Hussein stood up, as if his soul refused to let harm touch his family. Even in his final breath, his instinct was to protect them. That is a man. That is a husband. That is a leader of a family. He showed us that no matter how broken you are, you never stop protecting the people you love. So if we claim to love Imam Hussein, if we cry for his pain, and we say we follow his path, then let's live that path. Let's honor our marriages. Let's protect our home. Let's be men and women of dignity, effort, and love. Because the family is not just a social unit. It's the very thing Imam Hussein stood up to defend. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ.
أحسن ما شاء الله.